everyone, today I'm sharing with you some tips on how to read more. Now let me preface by saying this, do not stress on reading. If you feel in your life you feel pressured constantly, and sometimes I do, a lot of times I do because I put that pressure on myself. If you feel pressured or just stressed to read, don't worry about it. Reading is not supposed to be stressful, not unless I guess you have to study for a class and you have to write a paper for it. Then it probably is stressful, and you know, it has to be stressful because it's school. When is school not stressful? But if you're really pushing yourself or stressing yourself out for reading for fun, do not do that. Like, just take a break and just relax and don't worry about it. So that's my biggest tip, honestly. It's not stress. Like, don't put that insane amount of pressure on you. However, if you're just looking for tips on how to read more because you know, you want to read more, but you don't feel pressured or you don't feel stressed, but you're just trying to find time in your life, maybe this video will help. Maybe this video is going to be full of tips you've already heard 50,000 times before and it's going to be nothing new. I apologize for that. Or maybe this video is going to be full of new tips that will help you out. Either way, I just want to throw that disclaimer out there. These tips I've heard before and they're tried and true methods, but I thought I would share with you my thoughts on them and what I would recommend and things like that. So in case you are a mom, if you're a busy school student, if you're, you know, just busy with working, busy with life in general, maybe these tips will help you on how to read more and how to find time to read, because I know that is a big thing, is just finding time to read, because we're all very, very busy, understandably so. So let's get into it, because I don't want this to be a forever long video. Biggest tip was not stress, but my second tip is audiobooks, and I'm sure you've heard this time and time again. A lot of people recommend audiobooks, especially if you're busy, and I fully stand by that. I don't listen to a ton of audiobooks. There are bouts where I'll listen to a lot, and then there are times where I don't listen to any. Right now I'm a very audiobook time, but I really recommend audiobooks. Audiobooks are great for whenever, especially if you are a person that has to commute for work, whether it be driving or a train or, you know, the subway or flying all the time. Audiobooks are great for that. You can just close your eyes and listen to them, or if you're home and you have to do like chores, whether it be, you know, doing the dishes or things like that, put on an audiobook. Audiobooks are just phenomenal, and they fly by because you get really immersed with the story, especially if you put it on a higher speed, which you can do. I'm one of those lame ones that can't do that because then I can't concentrate, but if you put it on higher speed, you can reduce the audiobook by half. So audiobooks are a great way just to read more. In case you don't read at all, you can't find time to physically read a book, audiobooks are amazing. So I would recommend them a ton. If you're wondering what apps I use Audible a lot, and I've been recently using Scribd. I love them as well. They're a really good price if you don't like the priciness of Audible. But audiobooks, I think, is the biggest tip that everyone says if you want to read more. Audiobooks the way to go, and I fully endorse that. I say, for me, what audiobooks I fly through are the funnier, lighthearted ones. I can't really get into the really fantasy audiobooks or the really intense drama books, but funny ones and mystery ones are my favorite audiobooks. I can listen to them a ton. This tip's gonna sound very vague, but that is to read whenever, wherever. And what I mean by that is always have a book with you, whether it be a physical book that you put in your bag or whatever, or it could be on your Kindle, or it could be on your phone. Wherever you're going, have a book with you. And I say this because before I had my son, especially, like, I would be waiting in the grocery line before self-checkout was really big to wait in a grocery line, and instead of pulling out my phone, which I know a lot of us do, I would pull out a book and read while I was in line. Why not? I would read while I was in traffic. I was paying attention. I was parked. I would read while I was waiting for a movie to begin, because either my friend or my husband would be on their phone and not want to talk to me, so I was like, I would just read. So take your book with you wherever you go, because you never know when there's going to be an opportune time. If you go to meetings and you get there insanely early for 10 minutes while you're waiting, you know, it's always good to read. And when you have that option as well, because I know a lot of us are addicted to our phones, myself included. So whenever we have a spare opportunity, whether we're waiting in line or waiting for somebody to come meet us or things like that, we always pull out our phone and browse through our phone. But if you have a book handy, you can be like, no, I should read my book because my book is with me. You get what I'm saying? So it kind of cuts down on your phone time and makes you read more. So that's a really big tip for me, honestly. It's just to take a book with you wherever you go, because you never know when you're gonna have spare time to read it. And you know, those times count up. Even if you're like, I can only read 10 minutes a day. If you really take your book out wherever you have time, that could add up to like an hour. You never know. Even if it's 10 minutes a day when you're waiting in line. You just read for 10 minutes. So that's a huge tip. I know it's kind of lame, but it really had helped. It's really helped me out a ton. The next tip is a tip that I abide by myself 100%, and that is set a certain amount of time to read every single day. The time that I set aside for myself to read is right before I go to sleep. Try to dedicate either 30 minutes to an hour of reading, and sometimes I'll go above that hour if it's a really interesting book, or sometimes I'll only read 30 minutes. But either way, I try to read at least 30 minutes every single night, and that just helps me out to know, like, if I don't have a lot of time to read during the day, which a lot of times I don't, I'll just know that I have 30 minutes before I go to bed. I think reading before bed also like helps you get in like a sleepy state, and also just, you know, that's your time. You don't feel like you're pressured because you're doing something else, because you have to do something else. All you have to do is go to sleep. So, you know, just set aside 30 minutes at least to read every single day, or whether it be for you in the morning. If you're an early bird and love to get up early, set aside 30 minutes to read in the morning. You know, that can't hurt. Setting aside a certain block of time every day that you know that is your reading time will help you out drastically. I know that's a little intense because you're like, I don't want to be that kind of reader that like schedules reading, but I don't write that in my planner at all. It's just something I do every single night, and it's become a habit. So just think of it that way, I guess. But either way, I think if you do that every single day, set aside a certain amount of time, I think that could really help you read more. The tip I have is to buddy read. I am a person that loves accountability. If somebody else relies on me, I do well because I know that somebody else is relying on me. So whenever I've done a buddy read, I have flown through the book because I'm like, let me read this because I want to share my thoughts with the person I'm buddy reading with, and I want to be able to talk with them. I don't want them to be like, oh, I'm already done with the book and I haven't even started yet. You get what I'm saying? Helps you maintain like that accountability, and you know, just the fact that you want to talk to somebody about a book because you're both reading it together really helps and motivates you to read more. So I highly recommend buddy reading. I've buddy read with a few people before, and I really enjoy it. Sometimes it's with one person, sometimes it's with a group of people, but either way, if you have a friend that you know is interested in the same book, hey, let's get together. Hey, let's buddy read, and we can share our opinions on Voxer or Instagram or, you know, text messages. Just share your thoughts on the book, because buddy reading just helps me, you know, stay, like I said, accountable because I'm reading it with somebody else. Another tip that's kind of in the same vein as that is readathons. Readathons really push me to read more, and sometimes there are some readathons I put a lot of pressure on myself for reading a lot, and there's some readathons I do very, very low key. Either way, readathons are great, especially if you are a type A person that loves goals. If you are a goal-oriented person, readathons are for you, because a lot of times with readathons, there are challenges like read a book with green on the cover, read a book that is set in the 1950s, you know, things like that. And it really pushes you to be like, I want to get that goal done. I want to read that book so I can do a check mark on that goal. So if you're a big goal-oriented person like myself, readathons are your BFFs. Don't put too much pressure on yourself with those, because I get sometimes they can be highly intense and pressure filled. But readathons are great because it's also like a huge buddy system, because there's so many other people that are reading along with you that week, whether it be the same book or different books. Either way, you're all reading kind of with the same readathon, so it's kind of like a really huge accountability group, and you want to share your thoughts and opinions with people with these books that you're reading. So readathons are great, especially if you're a mood reader too, because there's so many different readathons that are specifically for types of books. Like there's one that's like all about big books, the books that are over 500 pages. There's like romance readathons. There's spooky type of readathons where you just read scary books. I mean, there are so many like genre filled readathons. Then there's so many type of vague readathons, like read 7 books in 7 days. The booktubeathon, which is coming up, which I'm planning to participate in. Readathons, there's always some going on. Link down below, because I believe Katrina from Little Book Owl made like a whole calendar of all the readathons during the year. So if you want to check out some for you know, the future, like I said, there's always some going on, so I'll leave that below, but readathons are great to read more. This tip kind of goes with the same similar vein as like my third tip, and that is to put away your phone and social media. Like I say, we are in a social media world. We are addicted to our phones. I can't say that I'm not, because I totally am, and we have a hard time prying ourselves away from them. But what I do a lot of times, if I know I'm like, I really need to read and I want to read, but I keep getting distracted by my phone, which happens to me, it's so sad how often it happens to me. Like, I could be really liking a book and then I'll just put it down and be like, oh, let me scroll through Instagram for 10 minutes and not accomplish anything. If you get what I'm saying. So a lot of times lately I have been handing my phone to my husband and saying, you know, I can't have my phone back until like I'm on page 100 or 150, or sometimes I will set a timer on my phone and put it away for where I would have to walk to another room to get it, so I would read. I know that's really drastic, like you're having to put your phone in another room, but it helps. I mean, we're addicted to our phones, and I think a lot of times, it could be just me, we just waste time on social media. We don't accomplish anything. To me, you know, if I'm on my phone and I am uploading an Instagram, or if I'm writing something for my business, or if I am, you know, writing a tweet or things like that, I'm actually doing something, I don't count that as wasted time because I'm working. But if I'm just scrolling nonchalantly through Twitter, through Facebook, through Instagram, I'm wasting time kind of. I do feel like that's important, just to kind of wind down and just, you know, kill time. But it's also important to put that sucker away for a little bit, because you just need to. You have to put it away. So my biggest thing is just to put it away for at least 30 minutes. Like I said, you're setting aside time, and just put that away so it's not a distraction. If it's not there and you know you can't get it, then you will read. I know it's crazy, but it helps. And a lot of times, if I'm honest with you, I will reward myself with social media. Like, if I get to chapter 55, or I don't know, whatever chapter, I can watch an episode of The Office, or I can watch an episode of Parenthood, or something like that, you know, or I can scroll through Facebook. It sounds really insane, but it helps. And I know that's drastic. It's drastic to do this stuff, like to set aside a time to read and to set aside your phone. But at the end of the day, if it helps you read more, it helps you read more. And that's all I can say. So, I mean, just put away your phone for a little bit, because if you're not reading because you do have the time, if you think about it, if you do have the time because you're wasting so much time on social media, put that away and don't let that be an excuse anymore. I know, it's insane. Big tip, and it's taken me, I don't know how many years on BookTube for me to realize this tip and to really abide by it, is to don't feel pressure to read a certain book. It's really big now lately for hyped books. Every month there's a new book that is hyped and everyone's reading it and everyone's loving it, and you're just like, oh crap, I gotta read this book. And then you start reading it and you're like, wait, you're not really enjoying it that much. And if you're like me, this happens to me a lot, I'll continue to read it because I'm like, maybe I'll love it, everyone else loves it, I should love it. And you put that pressure on yourself because it's so hyped, because it's such a hyped book. Don't do that. Put that book away, because you're putting extra amount of pressure on yourself because other people enjoy it. Just because so many other people enjoy this one book doesn't mean you're gonna love it. And don't feel pressured to read it in case you're looking at your shelf this month and you're just like, oh, what book should I read? I really want to read this one, but everyone's been talking about this one and I really should read it. Don't do that. Read what you want when you want. So I know hyped books are amazing. I've read a lot of hyped books that I've loved, but I've also read a lot of hyped books that I haven't loved. So don't put that pressure on yourself to read books that just because everyone else is reading them. Don't do that. There you have it. Those are all my tips on how to read more. Like I said, this video could either help you out a ton, or you could watch it and be like, didn't help me out at all. I don't know where you're gonna fall out in the spectrum, but either way, I hope you guys enjoyed my tips, and if you did, let me know. And if you have any other tips on how to read more, please leave them down in the comments. As I'm always looking for more time to read. I mean, who isn't really, because I just enjoy it so much. So either way, I hope you guys got something out of this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.